Everybody, welcome to Golden Guys. Just like Golden Girls without all the sex appeal. So it's only two of us right now. We're waiting on Mike, but we are here. A little early. Well, are we early or are we on time? We're on time for once. That's good.
We're on time. We're competing with Legend is live right now, and The Boy Who Had Seven is doing one of his 12 Days of Christmas live. So
very cool. All right. I guess I could have waited a little bit. But there we go. Here we got Chris Barrett in the chat. Very good. Mac Daddy, happy holidays, guys. Good seeing you. Very good time of year, yeah. So I want to actually start something off just to get it out there if anybody's watching the replay who says there's no difference between Jumbo and Jungle. And there's a mega difference between Jumbo Comics. Look carefully. Jumbo Comics. Jumbos and Jungles, which are going to be completely different. There's a bunch of Jungles. I had a few out here.
Despite the fact that they did this.
Hang on.
Every unfair.
Oh, my sister there. Jungles. Where's a big old stack of Jungles I had? Where's a Jungle? Jungle. Jungles have scantily clad brunettes. Jumbos have Sheena. She's blonde. So there is a group that collects just Jumbo, and they are definitely higher priced than Jungle. Somebody asked me that. So
yeah, there's a Jumbo on Comic Link that ends tomorrow. It's a Jumbo 10, a pretty classic Lou Fine book. So this one, that's a cool.
Yep, that's a very cool book. Jumbos will always outprice Jungles. So.
Yeah, and the early ones have, they're hard to find. They're pricey, and there's a lot of good Lou Fine art. Yeah, I don't think Lou Fine did any covers for Jungle, maybe number 2 or something like that. But
he's got 2. He's got one Jungle. He's got an early Jungle. I think he goes up to 9. Or is that Jumbo? No, he does 9 in Jungle. I think that's it though. He doesn't go beyond that.
I think his best stuff is the Jumbos between the two. Is Jumbo work.
Hello, Chad. How are you? Comics on the Mind. What's up? How we doing? Qui-Gon and Anakin. Very cool. Very good. Out here. Comics on the Mind. Good to see you. All right. So yeah, we were talking about speaking of the auctions, there's a lot that have gone on, and last week I didn't get DS to get his opinion on it, but might as well. The 9.4 Marvel going for 1.26. Do you think? I think it was a little under, but still good for the industry, good for the Golden Age, obviously, good overall. But I think it could have been a little bit better, in my opinion. Yours?
I mean, I think that was appropriate price for that coming up at this point, because that one comes up much less than like an Action 1 or Tech 27, or like obviously Superman 1 and Batman 1 to come up all the time, but for just now coming up, it cracked $1 million, and I think like legit investors see that's $1 million book now. The next time that comes up, or one in similar grade, it will go for much more, because really that's on par with an Action 1 and a Tech 27. Those are like the top 3, I really think. And, a 9.4 unrestored, like that's insanely high for any book. And for that book, I mean, even the highest Action unrestored is only like a 9.0 or a 9.2.
I know. It's a 9.0, and it's a questionable 9.0.
Yeah, I mean, that sold for over $3 million. And you got a Marvel 1 and 9.4. That's
right. That is. To me, it's a questionable 9.4, though.
It's a good investment. Whoever bought it is a good investment, because 10 years from now, that's easily.
That thing goes 2 years from now. 2 years from now, that book will go 175.
Oh, it'll be right up against
2 years. If he wants to sell it in 2 years and make $500,000, he can do that. No problem.
Yeah, definitely, without a doubt.
Now, a lot of things that I've seen recently is Silver Age books that I thought were coming down or pricing out AF-15s and FFs are kind of got a rebirth, and some books are going a little bit crazy now. Unfortunately, we didn't have you on last week, but I think you're the best person to talk to about the Mask 1, Mask 2 situation.
Yeah, we could talk about it. And while we do, I'll show this one, which is not mine, but I am still in possession of it.
Nice.
So there's a Mask 1 and a 1.0.
Nice.
Look, this book, there's in the dark GA category, which is basically non-superhero, non-Western, non-romance, like the stuff that's dark and creepy, Golden Age, which includes pre-code horror, but goes back further than that. In that category, Suspense 3 has been the top dog for a long time, and it still is the top dog. But I've heard a lot of Golden Age collectors start comparing Mask 1 to like a Suspense 3 level book in the last year. And the prices are reflecting that. Last year, you could get a Mask 1. I mean, there weren't many on the market because the prices weren't that high and people liked it more than what they could get on the market.
Mm-hmm.
Since the prices have gone up, they're not super rare. They're coming out on the market, and there's been quite a few this year. But last year, a Mask 1 in like a 4.0 probably would be like a $4,000 or $5,000 book.
Okay.
The most recently, though, this month or in November, just last month, a 5.5 sold for $24,000.
Correct.
So like a 5 to 6 time increase over what it would have sold for last year. Insanely big jump, but people are looking at that like it's starting to get the recognition it deserves as one of the absolute top dark GA books, and it absolutely is.
It's one of those that, of all the Golden Age books, there are books that are going for that price that have interiors that make them for what they are. This is a book that, let's be honest, and this is something that's a little different about this book compared to any of the other ones, is it is just a cover. And it is a great cover. It is a absolutely one of the most amazing covers of an era. Absolutely quintessential PCH book, top 5, absolutely Golden Age books, easily. But it's what makes that book and this price of it being so much different to me, combined with the Suspense 3. This is the second book now that is going just for as a work of art. As opposed to a comic book, because I'm going to separate the two when you think about it, because books that usually go for that price, a $5,500 and a $24,000 range, are probably a first appearance of, that could be even, I don't know, what is a more fun 73? Can't be that much different than there, give or take a little bit. Maybe not All-Star 8, but a more fun 73. Or
yeah, I mean, it's probably All-Star 8 minus a 1.5.
Yeah, think about that. I mean, an entire book. So it's very different. It's very different.
People who don't collect Golden Age have asked me, like, why would you pay that much just for the cover? Well, it's sort of just for the cover, but my analogy that I tell people that aren't into Golden Age and don't know how that operates or why you would spend so much just for the cover is you want the whole book for the cover, and it's like a work of art. It's sort of like if Van Gogh did 5,000 original Starry Nights and put them all in a handmade frame and signed the frames.
Yep.
You would want that painting, you would want it in the original frame, intact, unrestored, as a work of art. And that's sort of how these comics are for something like that. It's a work of art, and you want the original piece of art with the original framing of the whole book around it. And yeah, it is a work of art, and it's one of the true American art forms along with jazz. So you display it, and it's a phenomenal piece of art.
I mean, I as a cover collector myself, I get it. I just think it's been this is the first time I've seen this level for these kind of books in my life. For most any comic book, I should say that, but especially in the pre-code horror, especially for that book to jump as much as it did, as rapidly as it did from, like you said, a year ago, 6 months ago, 8 months ago, 10 months ago, there were auctions where that book was comfortably in the 2.0 range. Maybe 1,000.
Yeah, probably 1,500 or something like that. Yeah,
1.5 to 2 was about 1,000 to 1,200.
There's a Mask 2 on Comic Link right now, or Comic Connect. I can't remember. It's a 1.8, and current bid is 5,600 for a 1.8 of Mask 2.
Think about it. Yeah,
5,600. Now, just to put that in perspective, just tonight before we went on, an Amazing Fantasy 15 in 5.0 sold for $31,500.
Mm-hmm.
So
Seven.
same price for the Mask 1.
What did which one sold for 96,000? That was the 7.0.
There's a 7.0 that sold for 90.
90. That was it. Yeah, I think that buyer was going to pay up to 96,000 for it.
Yeah, but I think the prices were down a little bit. I mean,
Down, absolutely down.
The 4.0 sold for 20,222, and the 3.5 sold for 17.1. The 2.0 sold. All right, so the 2.0 sold for 11,250. That's like 2017 price. Honestly, that's it was selling for 10 grand. It broke 10 grand in like mid 2017, I think, and it just 2.0 just sold for 11,250, and it's a good looking 2.0.
What book are you talking about?
AF-15.
Oh, a 2.0 went for 10 grand.
11,250. And it's a good looking copy. I mean, there's some chip, but this is a 2.0. And it's got a couple issues. It has small amount of dry glue on cover and cover detached. So perhaps not a true representative. But for that book, I don't think it matters all that much when you have such a good looking copy of a 2.0.
Nice one.
Yeah. So I think the presentability offsets those notes to make it a fairly representative copy for a 2.0 of this. And 11,250. That's not, that book is sort of plateaued. It's not really gone up much over the last 2 years. The 7.0, I remember there was a 7.0 or 7.5 that broke 100 grand, I think. Last year.
There's just to throw a little bit Golden Age out there. A couple of things have just ended from the Golden Age. LB Cole's Blue Bolts 107 and 108, a 7.5 and a 7.0. One has a CBA freaking sticker on it, so take that for a grain of salt. A 107 just sold for 906, looks like it, give or take, and a $906 for a 7.5 of this book. I'm just throwing it out there, and a 108 with the CBA special and a 7, not a 7.5, a 7, sold for 1,700.
Yeah, I think that's a fair price for this.
But it's a harder book to keep in a better condition.
Yeah, the problem with this book, I've had a copy of this book, and I had a 5.0 cover, or centerfold was detached. What is this one? This one doesn't have any notes. Off white to white. This book is really not that rare. There's a lot of them out there, and there's a lot of them in like the 5.0 range, really. And a lot of them have detached centerfolds. I don't know if it's the paper or the stapling or whatever, but this is a pretty good copy of this book, and admittedly, it's one of Cole's better sci-fi works.
Do you see there's a Brick Bradford 6 and an 8.0 about to end in about 30 seconds. It's already up to 2,044. That's lower than I expected this to go, considering where these were going for at Baltimore.
Well, yeah, I don't know. I think like 4.0s and 4.5s were going around 1,200.
Right. So I was thinking this is a $500 book at least.
And it's got a killer date stamp on it if you're into it.
Great date stamp. It's a great book. It's an 8.0. I mean, she's a pretty book. I guess we should show it to everybody. I don't know why I consistently forget to.
Yeah, I bought mine.
Oh, you got it. You got it up there. Good. I'm going to put you on the big screen and I'm going to talk.
I bought a raw one of these at Heroes Con.
You're on the big screen. So.
For, what did I pay? 800, I think, 800, and it came back 4.5 with white pages. So I'm in the money on that because I think I could get probably 1,200 out of it easy with the white pages.
Looks like it finally closed down at 2,300. So not too bad. 200 off from where.
Price what a 4 is. This one is not really that rare either. There's a lot of them out there.
There's a lot of, and they're coming out of the woodwork right now.
Yeah, I mean,
here's one of my favorite books that is out there, and it's Caliber Presents #1. It's not a Golden Age. Can we show it up there? It's the first appearance of The Crow in the 9.8, and it's about to break $1,000. Oh, it did. It broke $1,000.
Really?
Yep. $1,391. It just, wow. Hit you up 3. That's way higher than I thought it would have gone. Okay, that's double what the last sale I think was. So
how much
appearance of The Crow, but not as sought after as the actual Crow #1.
No.
I'm not into The Crow, so I don't know why that's the case, but the first appearance is worth less than the first in title or whatever. So
great Matt Baker, Canteen Kate, and an 8.0 about to close down out of the 605. Pretty good price for that book. Honestly, it's a Canteen Kate. It's a #1. No, it's not her first appearance because she appears in the books before, but that's the first time Matt Baker ever drew her. So
Yeah, here's a surprising one that's about to end in about a minute. Is another
What are you talking about?
that Captain Arrow #1.
Captain Arrow 26
Are you talking Comic Link or Connect?
comic. Link.
Link.
Okay.
Yeah, so
Yeah,
this is
Captain Arrows. There's a 22.
This book is already at, I mean, it's at 26.50 right now with a minute left. Oh, now it's at 33.80.
Wow, that is a bomb for that.
I'm
Arrow.
not sure why this is going for so much, but I mean,
Yeah,
I bought my
33.80.
3.5 early this year. I think it was earlier this year. I bought a 3.5 of this book, and I didn't pay anywhere near what would even be half of this price. I paid like a fifth or a sixth of what this is going for right now. So I'm not sure why this is going for so much, but it is one of the best Cole sci-fis.
It is. It is.
But I mean, 6.5, I think there's higher grades out there. I think there's probably a 30 on the census, and there's probably some. So I don't know why that's going for that much, but
I'm glad we're live and we can do this Captain America 8.0 Frankenstein book that's out there.
yeah, I don't have that on my list. What is it?
Yeah, 8.0 it's Frankenstein Captain America.
Yeah, I'll find it. Captain America 1?
Yeah, it's Captain America 1, heavy, extensive.
Oh, yeah. It ends at 18 seconds.
Yep. Let's see what this one's going in for. It says 21,000. I still think that's. I mean, are you comfortable spending that much more money on a restored book?
Well, let's see. Color touch.
36,000. 36,500.
And it's got three married wraps also, and it has had a lot of stuff done. It doesn't have trimming though.
And it went for 36,500. For that guy who bought the 7.0 with slight color touch for $30,000 last year, congratulations.
Yeah, that's a good deal.
Color touch, slight color touch. It has a marker that instead of a pen on it. All right, what do we got here? Some other big ones that are about to close out. Nice.
Here's one that ends in 20 minutes. This is a pretty big one. This is a Northford copy.
Oh.
And this ends in 20 minutes. The current bid is $15,250.
There was a Schoenberg cover, Captain Easy. Did you see that one?
I'll check it out. I know the Captain Easies that he did though.
There's one that's a 13. It's number 13. It's a Schoenberg. They're post-war.
Yeah, this is a good one. It's got the here. I've looked at this before. I think there's a low grade on eBay right now, actually. But
there's an 8.5 right now that is currently with 12 minutes to go, $277.
Yeah, this is the highest
it's got
rated
a CBA sticker. I'm sorry.
This is the highest rated copy on the census.
Yeah, and it just went up to 360. But
Yeah, I think this is probably $1,000 book, honestly.
easily, and it's 360 right now.
That chamber
is awesome.
Yeah, well, we're probably going to drive the price of this one up.
Yeah, I think that's $1,000 book, that Captain Easy, because
currently the bid is 360. So
that Chamber of Chills 19, though, the thing about that, it's 15,000 for an 8.5. That seems like a super high grade of the most iconic PCH book. But you got to remember that's a Harvey book. There are a lot of those out there, a lot on the census, and a lot higher graded than an 8.5.
I was going to say I've seen the 9.
6s and 9.4s. So there's a lot of high grades of that book.
That chilling is
cool. So, Mike, there was a Captain Arrow that was done in the 40s.
yeah.
It was the early one, and it sold today. I just wanted to get you what you thought of it. It was Captain Arrow. It was the Holyoke World War II cover, Captain Arrow #1, in an 8.0, sold for only $22.05. Is it just because it's? I mean, it's Captain Arrow 1. I know it's
Look at that.
just a great price.
That was #1.
Yeah. Captain Arrow 1 went for $2,205 for in an 8.0. I think it's scarce. I know that there's not many of them, considering what people are paying for other things.
I think it has to do with who the artist is, maybe, because I think it's a Charles Quinlan, but it may not be. They're not giving him credit for the cover on this, and it doesn't look exactly like his style. But he did most of the early Captain Arrows,
Right.
and also Catman comics he worked on. So he did a lot of stuff for.
I was a little surprised that it sold for as little as it did.
What was the price?
23.
And what was the grade?
8-0.
I mean,
It's not an easy book to find, and yeah, I don't know. I mean, it's a World War II cover from a sort of an off publisher and not a key artist. And I mean, as far as the content on it, I don't know if that's desirable to World War II collectors, but I know it's it's a Holyoke book. It's not a killer artist,
right.
So I don't know.
Yeah.
It was one of those I thought maybe Knights can. What do you think about that?
I mean, it's just not. I mean, there's only so many books that people can buy, and I feel like the Golden Age, the mass of Golden Age collectors is not as high as most more common collected books, and that really shows itself when on books like this, where it's not really a key, it's not really a featured artist. It's kind of like, oh, it's cool, but I'm really trying to get all these other things. Like Golden Age, if you're trying to do any set or anything, it takes so much out of you that
it does.
you have to let these other ones slip by, and you can miss out on some great deals. Now, if 3 people wanted that really bad for whatever reason at the same time, then it could have gone way up. At least, it could have even doubled, perhaps, if it's rare enough, in my opinion.
There's that Daredevil one. What grade is that?
4.5, and I think this is probably $35,000 to $4,000 book. It might go a little higher though. It's a tough one to find.
I really think it's an undervalued. It's been an undervalued book for a while though.
Yeah, I mean, there's collectors that collect this stuff, and this is highly desirable to those. The Silver Streak key issues.
Yep.
The Daredevil key issues, the claw stuff with the claw on it.
Yeah, the Silver Streak one, is that today? When is that one closed today? Today or tomorrow?
I think that might be on Comic Connect.
There's a Silver Streak one that's out there, which everybody just take a look at it. It's the first yellow claw, well, first claw, really.
Yeah, I think that's Connect.
It's Connect? Yeah, it could be Comic Connect, because that ends in 10 days or 7 days or whatever.
Yeah, theirs is a little behind.
Yeah.
But that Daredevil battles Hitler is a one-shot, and it's currently 2,800 with 30 minutes to go. I think it's a solid $35,000 to $4,000 book, but it might go over that. Just depends. That's a pretty nice copy of that book.
There's somebody in the hunt for about a 6.5 to a 7, 6.60 maybe. I mean, a 5.5 if it really presented well. 4.5 is kind of where he drew the line, but we'll see. If you're interested out there, you know who you are. That's not too bad, I guess.
And there's another great Hitler cover that ends tomorrow, and this is considered one of the best. It's Great Comics 3. It's Hitler being thrown into hell.
Nice.
And that's a nice grade for that, a 4.0 on a rare book.
Oh, yeah, that's a good one.
Yeah, that should be easily $5,000 or $6,000. I don't know what it's at. 3,900. It ends tomorrow. Yeah, it should be like $6,000 book, I would think. So all these ones I'm showing are ones that I bid on to have them on my watch list.
Yeah,
I hate that.
See, I actually the ones that's funny because I do the same thing, but sometimes it gets a little bit out of hand. I was actually more kind of I was interested to see where the next phase of one of the books was going to be. There was a I've never seen this thing, and it's called Confessions of the Lovelorn, number 53. I literally found it because I saw this the Contact Comics 8.0 LB Cole, the highest graded.
Which one? Contact 12?
No, number 3.
Oh, War Cover?
Yeah. It's a war cover. It's the highest graded, 1 of 2 for 5. No,
these really aren't that desirable.
Right. The one above it though is where it caught my eye for the Heart of a Drunkard alcoholism cover, and it's one of those that I've heard about these books, and there's a whole market for this. Like it's, I'm interested to see where this one goes because these were books that ACG that people were throwing away not long ago.
What's it called?
Confessions of the Lovelorn. There's ACG. They did Journey into Fear and the Patsy Walker stuff and the Miss America. They did a bunch of shit, right? And a lot of it fell by the wayside. And this whole run from the 1951 to like 54, people just threw away. And a lot of them are these kinds of storylines, and they're crazy. They're all done by just groups that don't like alcohol and stuff. So, yep, there it is. Crazy, right?
Yeah, I've never seen that one. Some of the ACG stuff is not. ACG published so much stuff. And
right. Everything from pre-code horror to romance to photo covers to westerns to Boy Scout books and everything else you can have.
Yeah, most of their stuff's really easy to find, and then a couple of them are impossible.
We have in our background over here, we have 3 Forbidden Worlds over there. You got a Gangster and Malls in the back. Yeah, there's a few of them in the background. ACG did a ton of stuff. I got one right here. This is ACG. It's got to be. Yeah.
Yeah.
Damn, that Captain America 46 went for. Oh wait, is that over or not? Sorry.
Did you see the 3 signed by Simon and Kirby?
No.
CGC slab, yeah. Signed Simon and Lee, Stanley and.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, the Cap 6 ended, or the Cap 46 ended 22,000.
22. Yeah.
Not bad. Not bad. High grade though, right?
That's yeah. It was like a 7 or something. Yes.
Yeah. That's nice.
That one is probably in the top 5 caps. Top 5 or 6.
Really? Yeah, that's a pretty good one. 7
timing.
to white.
Holocaust. It's like one of the only Holocaust.
Right.
Well, I'll bet you will see a few more enter the market now. People that own it see that price of 20 grand.
Yeah.
Well,
that's what happens. I mean, that's how a lot of people
started.
I'm surprised we're not going to see it. We're going to see a lot more books hit that have gone up a lot lately.
Did the Cap 36 sell? Is that finished?
Look.
Yeah, 2,100. Now that seems like a really good deal considering there was a really high-priced one last week. I think I have that here. Let's see.
There was one. Well, me personally, I'm staring at that Conan 3 and a 9.8 because I have a 9.8 candidate. Maybe, I don't know.
Which one are you looking at?
Conan. I'm just watching it because I want to see where this thing goes. Conan 3.
You have a 9.8 Conan 1?
No. I don't have a good Conan 1 at all. I have a good Conan 2, 3, 4, up to. I gave my 7 away to Joey Bag of Sevens. No, I don't have a good 1, but I have a really nice 2, 3, and 4. That's what always happens, you know. I think I probably got rid of 1 when somebody ordered.
36,000 for that Cap 1, and you guys were talking about some other one that sold, but I missed that.
There was a 7.0 that sold about 4 months ago, for 30,000. That had slight color touch.
Oh, nice.
Yeah, that was a deal on the 7.0.
That's a great deal on that.
And you know, whoever bought that's going to crack it open and scrape the color touch off and
yeah, and he goes, I think even if I do that, it'll grade higher. With a professional will get this off, he thinks. So he thought it was a great buy.
How much do you think that Chamber of Chills is going to go for?
19?
Yeah.
What did they?
Damn, the black pedigree looks really good.
Do you think it goes? Does it break 20,000?
I don't think it'll break 20 just because there's so many copies of this out there, and there's a lot more that are higher graded.
But it'll break 15.
Well, I mean, it's at 15. I don't think it's going much higher, though. I think it's 15 or 16. I don't see it going more than.
How much time we have on that one?
I mean, it's only got like 8 minutes left. It'll be done soon.
We'll be able to watch that one through.
I don't think it's going to break 20. I just
Right now, someone's deciding if they're going to go higher or not.
I'd be surprised if it breaks 20. I know it's super iconic, but the people who have 20 grand to buy that book. Now, the Northford on it and the black label help. But I mean,
Just missed out on something.
I don't know. I don't like pedigrees that much, so I wouldn't pay an extra $5 grand because it's a pedigree.
But the black label looks good with a black cover.
Yeah, it does.
Yeah, I'm gonna have. I am getting ready to submit my pedigrees off.
Chilling Tales 16. That's a pretty cool cover.
I'll show you a cool cover here of one that I was going to bid on, actually, and I decided not to. And it ends in
Are file copies considered pedigrees?
Which one?
File copies?
No. I don't even think they'll give you a black label because it's not even a collection. This was one I was going to bid on tonight, and I just decided not to.
No way. Which one? Oh, Down with Crime?
Yeah, Down with Crime 7.
Yeah, that's a classic Sandman Rotator.
I mean, it's just such a off.
Great gas mask cover. It's just great.
Yeah, it's like a Sandman ripoff almost.
Yeah. It's weird.
Cool. I mean, this is a 5.0. This is a pretty nice copy. It's not an easy book to find, and it's at 900. I think it's probably 12, if maybe $1,400 book, maybe.
Let me see what I'm bidding on.
I wish I could win on that Detective 33.
I'm highest bid on a couple of things.
What's the Tech 33 at?
27,000.
Oh yeah, it's getting up there.
Let's see.
Yeah, that's a 3.5 blue, and it looks good.
I know. Yeah, and the paper quality is not bad. I mean, it's got the writing on it, which isn't great, but
It looks like it has a big tear up on the top by the issue number.
yeah.
But yeah, that's a solid copy.
Yeah, because it's pretty dirty looking, but maybe you could clean that off. I don't know.
Well, the best way to tell if you can clean it off is to see the back cover, but they don't show those on Comic Link. It's hard to see the dirt on the front cover with all the color, but on the back you can see the dirt better. This also has a name written in pen.
Yeah.
That's not coming off.
Ernest Moga.
Nice. Wow. Okay, so
Hard to be a Batman collector. What do you do? I guess you go after 31, but you're priced out of that. Then the next best.
Okay. All right. You see the 33 that's out there on Comic Connect, right? Or
I
which
can look-
one has the 9.0?
Oof, a 9.0. Well, I mean, that's.
Yeah. I mean,
That would be like 60 grand.
oh yeah. There's Comic Connect has a crazy. I just keep staring at that Conan.
What would you? At
Comic-
what point would you go to Batman 1 over an early Detective?
Which detective?
Well, okay, so you're not getting
27, 29, 31, 33, right?
Yeah.
Okay, so those are the
And
big
at what point does Batman 1 get ahead of one of those?
4.0.
No, I mean like you personally.
I
If you
would.
drop the money, where does Batman 1 fit into that? Like,
I think it goes Tech 27, and then Tech 38, and then Batman 1. That's how I rank them.
31.
31.
Batman, for me personally, I would put a Batman or Tech 31 ahead of a Tech 27. You know what I mean?
Yeah. You're like me. You're the
Those normal people that are collecting Batmans, I would think that a Tech 27 and a Tech 38 are the only ones ahead of a Batman 1 because it's the first Batman and then the first Robin and then the first in title. That's what I would think.
I mean, 29s and
I don't know. That's why, because here's my thing. I think it's
29 and 31 are ahead of 38.
Yeah. I don't know.
31 ahead of 38?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Really? 38's a bigger book than 31.
I'll even put Tech 29.
I will consult the expert.
Yeah. There you go. I mean, I think 31 is the only Batman book on my. All right, so the only Batman books on my list, tech issues, is 1 through 26 and then 31. Those are the only tech issues that I ever want.
On the Comic Connect, the Batman 4.0 The Batman 1 in a 4.0 is currently 93,000. The
So
Tech
it's
29 in a 5.0 is 76,000. Now that's the other thing. I always kind of like Tech 29, up there as well. I kind of think I always say 27, 29, 31, 33, 38, and that's it.
See this? So this goes Tech 27, Batman 1, Tech 31, Tech 33. Wait a minute, I missed. No, Tech 29, then 33.
Yeah, 29.
35, then 38.
Why are there so many of those issues ahead of 38, like 29?
Because everyone hates Robin.
Yeah, nobody likes Robin.
I mean, what's
That's where it's at.
what's 29? What's all about that one?
29 is the second Batman cover, but it's the iconic one of him flying through the air. It's got a holster.
And
It's actually a pretty good book.
Out after 38, obviously, because 38 is the first Robin. So
what about 35? What's the deal with 35?
it's just another pre-Robin. I mean, it's got the hypodermic needle.
Yeah,
So
that's the hypodermic.
All ears. It's pretty cool.
A More Fun 73 in an 8.0 is currently 32.5. That's ridiculously low.
Yeah, that's $100,000 easy.
Yeah, I don't get it, man.
What is?
More Fun 73. What I was talking about last week. It's the most underrated. I'm not a big Green Arrow fan or Aquaman or a Speedy fan or whatever. But if at all, if you're an iconic More Fun 73, I get it's a shitty appearance of Dr. Fate, but it's got to be considered one of the best books.
Yeah, look, along when you consider like the Golden Age keys, there are some that are easy to find and some that are not so easy to find. Like a Batman 1 is easy to find relative to this stuff. I don't know other stuff, but when you look at like a More Fun 73 or like a Flash 1, those become really tough to find, and they're super key issues. And More Fun 73 has like 3 first appearances in it.
Yeah.
I mean, that's a huge book.
Huge book, and I don't see it a lot in good grades. And All-Star 8 is another one. All-Star 8 is...
I think, to be fair, you'd have to judge it entry level versus other entry level, because once you're reaching over 50 or 100K, it's just...
Yeah, it's ridiculous. I mean, I would never have one.
Some other ball game and pool of people, and they have whatever reasons, I don't know.
But I consider myself knowledgeable in this category of that, and I think when I look at the other books of its same era and same value and grade-wise, it took an 8.0 of a triple first appearance, Dr. Fate, very early, hard to find, not a very popular story line book, More Fun 73, and it's an 8.0 and it's 36 versus a 4.0 in a first in name title, same company, is 94,000.
Well, yeah, and it's like a Flash 1, in like a 4.0 would be, I don't know, $50,000 or something maybe, and then an all Flash quarterly one, first in his title, is only like 2,500.
Nice.
It's just weird how some of these Golden Age keys are. It's just I can't figure them out. I don't collect superhero stuff anyway.
Well, one is very old. It's a 39 book, and it's his first appearance on the cover. So I mean I feel like that, and it's pretty rare as far as.
Well, that was another thing I was gonna go. We have the Chills book. What did that end up at?
It bled out. I mean, 15 to it didn't get another bid after we talked about it.
Okay, so
that's what I said. I mean, I think it's pretty top.
It's still a tremendous grade for a record-setting price for that price point. For
any
book.
5 in like an 8.0.
I mean, that's for a Harvey book. I mean, come on.
Yeah, I mean, but there's a lot of Harveys out there. That's the only thing holding this price down. That's what I'm saying. It's like a Weird Mysteries 5 or something in an 8.0, which would be or a 7.0 or 7.5, which would be near graded. That would go for 20. That would outsell this.
I want
would
to talk about
say
that.
10 years ago, that book would probably be $1,000.
Yeah, it was. I did a price chart of this book going back to 2003, and there were 8.0s selling for $600.
Oh, I'm sure.
2003, 2004. It didn't really pick up until like 2011, 2012. They started to be like 1,200 for 8.0. And then I remember 3 years ago on Heritage, for like 3 weeks back to back to back, they had these in like 5.0s, and they started to go into the 2,500, 3,000 range. And that's when PCH started popping. And I remember seeing that and being blown away by how much these were going up.
I also want to stress one thing that also you just mentioned, that from 2003 up until about 2012, that's when the prices started moving, particularly in the golden age, and that's particularly to slabbed books. And I want to stress this:
Yep.
Slabbed books were going, because a lot of people, including myself, I did not start buying slabbed books or getting books slabbed until late in this game, into 2010, 2012. I started doing this, and I was against it forever. I was definitely one of those crabby, okay, boomer. Definitely was one of those. Absolutely was against buying a slab book. I thought it was just wrong and everything else. And I know Knights kind of still subscribes to that newsletter, but not in the same case. He does appreciate the art.
You know, the slabbing is what brought me in to Golden Age.
Right, and that's what I think some people have discovered, is that I blame slabbing for making Golden Age so much more popular.
It brought guys like me in.
It has totally done it. Because I was the Golden Age stuff I was collecting was mostly, I don't want to say horror because it sounds like I was collecting pre-code horror, but it was like, the vampire, that kind of stuff, not really creepy stuff. Yeah. So.
All right, so check this out. This is an 8.5.
Oh.
All right.
Old label.
5 creamed off white of that book. And
Gen 1 label.
yeah, it sold in 2001 for $391. So that's like one of the first books that was graded, because that was probably Heritage got that raw and sent it to CGC in 2001, and it had just opened. And $391.
Yep.
And there was sold.
Show us your Gen 1 slabs.
There was one that sold in 2003. Another 8.5, maybe the same one. I don't know. I'm not gonna check certain numbers, but this one sold for $207.
So that's where you have to be smart. You have to figure out either
Time to
it's
travel,
bubble or they were truly undervalued, and I think it's a little bit of both.
Oh, absolutely. Well, the slabbing thing, honestly, it kind of hurt some things from a lot of people buying books. I don't know if it affected PCH. I know for a fact it did affect a lot of people buying superhero books.
Here's a 2004. How much you think that sold for?
8,000, 5,000.
Yeah, I would say 5,000.
That was 2004, $776. Right?
Oh,
It's insane, dude.
that was a smart investment.
2004, less than $1,000 for a 9.6. And then there was an 8.0 that year that sold for $120.
But that's a perfect example of people on the CGC boards have been saying this forever. Just buy what you love. And there were people who loved buying horror books. They didn't care what they were, it wasn't a good investment, or they just bought them because they loved them and they were cheap. And I mean, now they can.
Craze is coming. The jungle craze is coming.
Here's a 2007, a Raw VF. Raw VF 2007.
I'd say it's still cheap. Yep.
$95.
Yeah.
Well, so 7.5, and their grading's accurate. So 7.5, under $100, and 7.5 today we go for $10,000.
Have you ever bought Sparkle City?
Yeah, I have.
Yeah, their raw grading is pretty solid. I like their raw grading, the way they break it down. but they used to keep track of what they used to sell books for, and they contacted me one time, and really cool guys, and they were like, hey, remember when you bought that book off of me? I said, yeah. He goes, you have it. If you ever want to flip and turn that, I'll give you a triple for it now. I'm like, really? It's that much? And it was a book that I didn't really have much attachment to. I forget what it was. And we flipped it for credit so I could buy probably Surfer or Thor or whatever. It was years ago. And well, the whole thing I'm getting at is that he specifically said, yeah, I don't want to get involved in that slab business yet. And a lot of dealers weren't getting involved in the slab business. A lot of the, especially silver and golden age dealers, because they didn't understand. A lot of people didn't understand it. Like I didn't understand it because I didn't collect the baseball cards. I know people compared it to that. Like you put a card in there, but I said, yeah, but here's the difference. There's a front of the card and there's a back of the card. There's no middle of the card. So how do you know when the middle is good?
Well, for me, when
what drive me insane was this is, I mean, whatever. It's 1945 book, but it is what it is. I mean,
well, you can just take it out.
Yeah, you got a new jersey, huh, sweetheart? Is that a Notre Dame jersey? Look at this.
For me, I really liking Golden Age, and when it came to dropping, a lot of digits, I was just too hesitant. Because like all these dealers, they made it perfectly clear to me that there was a lot of restoration. There was a lot of people pulling fast ones, and like there was just a lot. They started talking about things I never really thought about, like brittleness and all that. You could really talk up a comic or talk down a comic at that point. And if you're not super, super knowledgeable, I was just like, whoa, okay, all right. So I clearly need to go study all this before jumping in, because I don't want to get something that's going to fall apart or something that, I'm totally getting ripped off. And then I just it was too much for me. I didn't have the time to do that. And then when slabbing came out, I was like, awesome. Now I'm not going to get ripped off or as or whatever, So
slabbing came
like middleman.
Yeah, and slabbing came along right along with the internet, where things started to be sold online.
Correct.
Slabbing really had a place in the market, because now you can't even examine the books in hand. It's very risky to buy raw Golden Age online, especially early in the internet, like early eBay, early websites and bulletin boards and stuff like that. It's sketch to buy anything back then. But with slabbing and the internet, they go hand in hand, and that's what has made slabbing as popular as it is today, is really internet sales. I mean, a lot of other people talk about how like CGC ruined the hobby or whatever on this. The internet sales is what's driving slabbing, because people want a 9.8. All right, so you can argue about what's a 9.8, should it be whatever. People want 9.8. The only way to get it online is a slab, because you can't tell unless you look at it in a con or in hand what's the grade of something. And restoration on Golden Age and incompleteness and trimming is tough to detect anyway, even in hand. So that gives you
interior glue. Interior glue. I mean, one of my things is I would buy, and you hit the nail on the head. When I was buying Golden Age way back when from places like Top City or at cons, I did not buy online Golden Age ever. I never bought comics online until much later, within the last couple of years. And I mean the last couple of years. I didn't buy comics online ever. I would go to cons everywhere. I travel everywhere and come home with, a trunk full of shit. But one of the things that I would say slabbing did for me in the Golden Age was it made me buy more raw and decide if I think it's slab worthy or not. But at the same point in time, it made me look at books a lot more careful that were raw, because I would debate why this one was raw. One of the good examples I see is somebody brought me, hey, I just saw this terrific 5. It looks really good. It's going for this. And my question is, why is that not in a slab?
Yeah. It's suspect all of a sudden. Just
all of a sudden, I question why it's not in a slab. And
Yeah.
it's weird because I never would have done that. I don't do that to every book. Definitely not every book.
Big
There are some books, like if I'm going to buy something, a good example is if I'm going to buy a House of Secrets now. Well, not I already have one. I'm trying to think of something like, all right, A Journey to Mystery 84. I've been debating a raw or because that's a book that's either a raw or a grade I could go with. But if I'm going to buy something really significant, like a significant, like Spider-Man 3 and a really high grade, or first Doc Ock, it better be slabbed.
Now, is it price or is it rarity?
I don't trust a book that is so common or a book that is so often seen slabbed that makes no sense for it not to be slabbed, especially when you see a dealer selling it.
But so how about Amazing Spider-Man 3? That's $1,000, whatever grade they're saying
Right.
that is.
I just read that.
Or a very, very old 1.0 Golden Age key-ish book.
Yeah, I would rather have the 1.0.
Which would you want to be in the slab? Which do you think is more suspect? Which one would you take a chance on more? I'd say the Golden Age would be a better chance to buy raw. Whereas
if this was a really nice conditioned 3, Spider-Man 3, like an 8.0, I'd be more suspect of that.
Yeah.
But if it was a mid-grade, I would go with the Golden Age.
The thing about I would go with the Golden Age, but the thing about it is if you have the 2 raws and you're looking at them in hand, the Golden Age, anything that it does have that's been altered or restored or whatever was done way back, and you can find it. It has extra staples. It has tape on it. Somebody colored in with a marker. I mean, you can see it. The Silver Age stuff raw could have modern stuff done to it, like was that guy Ewell or whatever his name was, with micro trimming. I mean,
micro trim.
But yeah, there's a lot of that in the newer shell collection.
But I mean, yeah, look, if you go to any con, any major con, you're going to see Gator there with all slabs, everything slabbed, pretty much.
And he loves it.
Word slab, and he keeps raw, but he's the slab guy to sell. And then you go right across the aisle to Super World, and Ted's got nothing but raws. And it's the same quality books, and they both have tons of Golden Age, and it's like,
and then you got Rich at Bedrock City who does 50-50.
Yeah.
It's fun because I bought from Ted a book that should have been, normally I would prefer to buy a slab copy, and it turned out to be restored.
Jamie Graham kind of got me into slabbing a little bit just because.
Nothing against Teddy because he made good in everything else, so he always does.
Jamie Graham, he was telling me, he likes to do it just because the more you handle the book, the more chances, especially if it's low grade, that it can get, messed up. And that makes sense.
One of the things I always talk about buying slabs at cons, slabs get beat up at cons. They get beat up at cons. Expect a scuff or 3 or 4 on it. And don't be afraid to ask him to take $1 or $2 off of it if he has to do it for scuffing. That's a little tip. But also, because it's got scuffing on it, don't ask for way too much off.
Yeah, they might laugh at you.
I would laugh at you because it's a con. I mean,
they're like, go ahead, wait in that line. You can get it slabbed.
Yeah, $15. Go wait in line, But in reality, even when you bring slabs, when you show it to someone they're going to say, well, it's got some damage here on the slab. If it's not a crack, it's not damage. If it's got a scuff mark or something, that's just con damage. Don't be afraid to throw that in their face back at them. Con damage is con damage. You could Mylar your bags all you want. I absolutely love and subscribe to the DS philosophy of these things.
Oh, those are great to put slabs.
Right. I was telling some people the other day, how do you travel with slabs?
Oh yeah.
And I said, well, if I go to a big boy con and I'm bringing big boy books, or if I'm working with a dealer with, let's say, 4 or 5 6-figure books, and he wants to transport them, I always put them in those things first, and then we go to that. There's another con I was talking about with a guy the other day, and he was one that a 7.5 or something of Action One was there at a small local con in a slab, brand new slab. It was slabbed or whatever. It's kind of well known, and this guy just had it there, walking around with it, saying, "I'm looking for $2.5 million for it."
That's
You
crazy.
know?
I think
Wow.
there was a couple comments in the chat here. Barbarian Kung Fu, I answered it in the chat, but you guys can chip it.
Go ahead.
How much does restoration really affect the overall value? And my answer that I typed in was it basically drops the price in half, give or take. I don't know if you got.
It's extensive, apparent, slight, and the age of the book. Huge.
The more common the book, the
Yeah.
less, the more it matters. The more the price shifts.
Right. My Avengers 4 is slight restored.
Think of it like a modern book. So if you get a modern book that's restored, no one's gonna want to buy that for anything because there's so many non-restored. No one would ever touch that.
Right.
But if it's a book that only has 5 on the census, unless it's like ridiculously extensive restored,
Right.
now
There's
you're in the game.
Yeah, there's like a Hulk 1. I've seen a couple Hulk 1s in like 6.0 restored, going for like 15. A 6.0 unrestored Hulk 1 would be double that. So I think as you get into like the more collectible books, just generally the price is half. When you get into Golden Age though, like, you know, a book like this, it's going to hurt the value probably more than half because it's so sought after. If you can find a blue label of this, people will pay whatever. And a restored one will go for much less than half, but still very pricey. So,
so if that book was a 4.0, so say that was a 1.0. Okay, there's a blue label 1.0 of that. The typical like big chunks missing out of the cover. It just kind of is like, yeah. And then there's the 1.0 restored, but it's dry glue. Bam, that could be the same price.
I don't mind dried glue.
Yeah, if it's just dried glue versus huge chunks missing, yeah.
I don't mind dried glue on anything, to be honest with you. I would prefer, again, we should reiterate this. I think we all agree that the one defect that doesn't determine on a label, but it's something that affects it more than anything else. It's rust on staples. I hate. I absolutely hate rusty staples.
I'd rather have that than extensive or
right. But I also don't like Frankenstein books either.
Added something.
Yeah, I don't like Frankenstein books either. I'm a much more inclined to buy a slight restored, even if it's apparent, if it's slight, than I am professional redone of an entire book.
Yeah, but see, we're talking about also like there's so many ranges of condition issues and grading issues that you got to find books if you're collecting for your PC, what is going to be good for you, what meets your standards, and everybody's are different. But if you're investing and for value and selling books, it's different because I would rather buy a book to resell that had rusty staples than any number of other resto issues that I personally would rather have glue on the cover than rusty staples. But for selling, I'll buy the rusty staples over the glue on the cover because I will buy an unrestored because it's unrestored. They don't care about the rust as much as they would the glue.
I should say everything I mentioned from my PC.
Yeah.
And I do not buy rusty staples from my PC ever.
It depends on how much.
I don't buy mold. I don't buy mold. I don't buy. I avoid these things like the plague. I drive people now. I want to let Mac Daddy Austin 109 brought up. What about staples being replaced? I have had 2 or 3 timelies, and I think Mike, you're probably best to answer this because you probably have a few books with staples replaced because that was very common among timelies. So
I don't have any replaced that I know of, but I did clean my own stable, 2 stables recently, and I love that. I got
Yeah.
rid of all the rust. It's awesome.
Yeah. And
And I-
there's people that consider that conservation, by the way.
Yeah, that's going to be conservation. It's a step up from Resto, but a step down from Blue.
Yeah, we talked about conservation. Well, I actually do love the conservation label, and I think glue on the spine is considered should be considered conservation at this point, especially on golden age items, because a lot of times I was on the interior or the exterior, even though it didn't even affect it. There are books that are like that.
You know, to me, it depends on the price. You know,
Okay, yeah,
because and unfortunately, I feel like green labels and purple labels have gone up big time.
green
Double
labels are worth it.
5 years.
Green labels are worth it. If you find a good green label that's missing some coupon cut out of the back of it on a golden age, and that's the only thing, you are buying a bargain.
Because even 5, maybe 7 years ago, purple labels,
They were
Just-
25%.
people were just like, when the prices were lower in general, people were just like, I'm just gonna wait for a blue one. And or they're like, but then there's time goes by and you're like, I still haven't seen that book for sale.
Right.
So they're like, maybe I should get a purple, you know, like over time you start to value them a little more, I feel. You're like,
there are books out there on my want list that if I saw one that I really wanted and it was restored, I would just pass on it and I would just go get other ones that I want. What I tell people is when I have every book on my want list except for that one and it comes up restored, maybe I'll consider it because that will complete the collection. But I'm nowhere, I've got about thousands of books that I want. I don't need to spend a bunch of money on a restored book or a conserved book. Yeah, I won't get that book, but there's 999 other books I want that I'll look for, and I can just stick with stuff that's I can just dodge the pothole, and I'll always have books out there that I want. And I'm not suffering from a lack of books. I'm suffering from a lack of money. So the money is what's limiting me, not that I can't find a blue label. There's plenty of blue label books to buy for me. I don't need to buy purple labels or conserved labels or green labels. I need more money before I get to that point. So.
Well, that's another reason why I do purple sometimes, because I feel like it limits your competition.
Yeah, it definitely does.
I think
Sometimes
there
I'm
are
like-
certain books, certain purple, like you both know I was looking for a Space Detective 3, and I've had a hard time trying to find them, and they both came up back to back, both restored, and they went for cheap prices, but I still couldn't pull the trigger on a purple label. And that was my own thing. Look at that. That's a
Well,
model.
remember this in February, whenever we started the show,
Yeah.
I was looking for this, and you guys were going to
Marvel
con.
History 3.
Oh, Where's the Marvel 3? And like nothing, nowhere, nothing. Finally, it was in one auction. I still have not seen another complete copy at all, period. So, and this was a 4, it was a slight. But it was just glue and it looked good to me. So
Yeah, that's one of the things where I disagree with CGC. That
and I'm very happy I bought it because I still wouldn't have been able to find. There was nothing. So
I mean,
like,
I honestly, I showed I think I showed it. This Eerie, I didn't pay. I paid next to nothing for this because of this glue on the spine. Now I've had this book for a long time, and I'm debating on giving it to somebody to press, and it needs a press. I mean, it's there, but it's not bad by any means. I mean, it's got the shine. It's still there. It still has a beautiful gloss on it, which is really rare for these Eries. And it just has on the staples here, it's got the tape mark where they look like tape was there, but the staples look rusted, but when I open up the interior, they're not. So I'm like, okay, so if it didn't bleed through, then they're not rusted. Then it's just the marks from the tape. So I was real happy with that. So I said, okay, I didn't buy a rusty staple book. What I did buy a book is probably going to get a purple label, but I still want it anyway to complete the those of you that don't know, this is the first ever Dracula in comics. Not first vampire in comics, first Dracula.
Yeah,
Now-
CGC, their policy with the Golden Age books is they will allow the slightest amount of color touch or glue and not consider it restored. But I don't know where that level is.
Right, and because this
Not at high level.
taken off.
Yeah, but I know, but they say small amount of something or minor.
I mean,
it
not
can
at
be a huge amount. So I don't know where they're,
At low grades, they allow it more than at high grade.
Yeah, but I mean, I don't even know how they determine what's the slight amount, because sometimes something says minor amount of color touch or small amount of color touch, and it's the whole freaking spine. Do you know what I mean? So that's not minor to me. That's moderate to extensive. So I don't know where their standard is, but all I know is what they've said to me personally numerous times when I've talked to them. I call them on the phone.
That's what I do too. And like
color touch, they'll let slide on the Golden Age, but I don't know how little it has to be.
I'm going to show you this. These staples are not rusted by any means. So I'm very happy with this book, and I've been very happy with it. But here's a good example of a decision. Now, if I knew that I was getting a bargain at this because of the tape that's on the spine, but the tape is not holding the book together. There's no split on the spine anywhere. You would see it, and you don't. There's no split anywhere. It's just perfectly done, and it really is. I mean, it really is a good freaking book. I mean, I know I'm handling a 1940s book like shit, but it's really nicely drawn, and I kind of think this is an underrated Golden Age book, in my opinion.
You're trying to figure out what to do?
Yeah. Do I press and clean it and slab it and get it labeled?
Are you selling it or keeping it?
I either got to put it together and keep all my Draculas together, which I want to do in I'm doing Dracula and Frankenstein. So my problem is that I love the runs. So I love Tomb of Dracula and I love Monster Frankenstein. I like the first 18 issues of Monster Frankenstein. That's all there were. But I like the first up to maybe 24 versions and the
maybe so.
Tomb of Dracula. But there are certain ones I always wanted to keep that I always liked, like Gil Kane covers and
maybe so, depending on what it comes back as.
Yeah, exactly.
I mean, I would probably, I don't know. I mean, I would try to remove as much as possible and then get it slabbed, and then just whatever it is what it is. And if it's for your PC and it's a book you like, you like. But if it's like going to bug you that it has restoration, I would look for an unrestored copy and keep it a raw reader. I think that's what I think. I might still keep it as my raw reader, and the reason why is because it's one of those books that it is the Dracula story, and it's not quite as good as the House of Secrets one or the Tomb of Dracula one.
Depends how much the removing it would make in price too. You know, sometimes you could like do all this stuff to.
I mean, right now this is rated a 4.5.
It wouldn't make a difference.
This is a 4.5 without a press. Press this thing, it's going up. I mean, there's very little damage to this book at all.
$450.
Yeah, that.
I wouldn't even bother doing anything.
Right. I love the book
at some point, and then you have a raw copy. You can sell that to somebody else or whatever. But yeah, I mean, I slab all my PC books because I like the way they present. I like to have they're very liquid, they're very solid for retail value, and then great, and they're preserved. And yeah, I mean, they're high collectible pieces of art. I don't need to read them. You know, when you're spending hundreds or thousands of dollars on a comic book, it's no longer a comic book. It's a comic piece of art. And I'm not going to be flipping through something like that because now it's a collectible thing. I buy reprints or buy a low-grade reader, but I'll read the stuff once before it gets slabbed, and I'll take some pictures. I'll enjoy it, whatever. But I just like.
Yeah, did you take that thing out? What did you have that you were going to take out? A 5.0. You had that Liberty.
The Blue Ribbon comics.
Yeah, the Blue Ribbon
out today.
Looks great.
You took it out.
Here's what the label was.
Right.
Had, I don't know if this is going to show real well.
Did you have everybody credited to it?
Half of 17th page detached. And it was
Which I
See, what that is so weird. So, for instance, and just real quick, so they will write that, okay, half of one page detached, kind of who cares? But I was kind of thinking when we were talking about Rusty Staples, how it's kind of disappointing how little CGC will really let you know about rusty, because sometimes there's a little tiny bit of rust. Sometimes there's rust on every single page.
Yep.
And they don't, unless you buy, and even if you buy the greater notes, sometimes it doesn't even say.
Yeah.
That's really
And
no.
I mean by rusty staples, you'll know when you know when you're hunting out there. You know we're talking about rusty staples. You just go to the centerfold, and if you see residue, you're screwed. That's the way I do base everything. I mean, yes, you could tell the outside, but it's not just the discolorization; it's the oxidization of the paper. The staple integrity is weakened dramatically by the rust. The rust around the paper will destroy the paper around it and make it more likely that you will lose centerfolds and or covers and or other pages. That's the reason why I hate rust staples, because a lot of times I buy raw books, and then if I look at it's rusty, and I says, well, I can't really do anything with it because I can't. I get more concerned about it. Now I have bought rusty staples of books that I'm like, don't care, just wanted the book anyway. Like the Voodoo 11 was $40. Yeah, I'm buying that. But rusty staples, I don't care if they were shit on those staples. I was buying them.
And many collectors, including myself, I have watched rust, and if you keep it in good conditions, it doesn't anything, even on the paper, nothing.
Yeah, people think rust will just progress even if you put it in a slab, and that's not true. Look,
right, it won't progress.
Rust is exposed to air with humidity. If you if you put a rusty book into a vacuum chamber, the rust is done. Once whatever residual water molecules are on that and oxygen that's on it, once that's used up to do whatever rusting it can do, if you don't add any more air and water, it's not going to rust any further. Nothing is perfectly airtight. Even vacuums aren't perfectly airtight. But, slabs are pretty good. Their inner wells are sealed, and then the slab is pretty well sealed. The rust will stop if you put it away. But if you just leave it out, it will continue. So rust will stop if you take away the moisture and the oxygen.
I want to do one quick shout out real quick. They brought up the Jason Aaron Star Wars Omni that came out this week, that comes out this week. Yeah, that does look pretty good. It is a good storyline if you're interested in that Star Wars. That's a good one. But I was trying to show in my original article I added. Go ahead, Knights. Sorry about that.
Yeah, so I remember I chatted with you about this, DS, but I don't think I did with you, JD. But I was thinking of maybe replacing my staples on a book that I clean rust off of. And I have one of these guys, the magnifying glass, and up to 30 times, and it's kind of a real pain to look at that one, but they're super cheap. But I was pretty horrified because I was looking at replacing my staple, and I was just looking at books in my collection, even Copper Age, and honestly, under 30 times, there were very few books that had absolutely no rust at all.
Oh, yeah. I mean,
so all these people are like, oh, rust, crap. I guarantee you at least 50% of your comic book collection, unless it's modern, has rust.
Exactly. But I think that my biggest concern of rusty staples is the effect of what it did to the book while it was on it, while the rust is on it. The effect is a weakened fastener of the book, and which is the big fear I have of when I do send a book off to get pressed or cleaned, is that it does get detached.
And the brittleness of the paper.
Once you see rusty staples or brittleness, they all add to the thing of saying how much life is there left in this book. How much life we're gonna have to slab this thing to prevent it from, getting damaged or something along those lines. But it's not just rusty staples. We discussed what we avoid, what we do, but DS has a book with a literal half of a page is not missing, it's just separated. It's there, it's just separated, on the interior. Now, I don't think that's a big deal because it didn't say affect story, but
Well, it's not missing, so it's not affecting anything.
right.
But
So
I'm going to tape it back on.
yeah, I mean it is what it is. There's nothing you can do. Yeah.
I mean, I think CBCS should have said something more than half of page detached. That makes it sound like it was off the staple or something.
Right. That's what I didn't know. It was like, yeah, it was torn in half. Yeah.
But yeah, I'm going to tape it back on, and then yeah, I mean, it is what it is. But I mean, it's complete, and the book's in great shape. And there's only 7 on the census. It's impossible to find, and this is a freaking sweet copy of this book. I mean, this book is like 7.0.
It's a beauty. It's a beauty book.
I mean, it got graded down for that only to a 5. So this is like a 7.0, 7.5 copy.
It's
But
a really nice book.
so
Now that's one of the harder ones to find.
I had never seen one before. I got this one.
Rust.
Eternal Warrior 4.
Rust. Yep.
Well, I'll tell you what else you can do if you
You
want.
can find books from '93.
Get a 9/8 slab of a modern and look at the corners with under 30 times magnification, and it will look like the Alps all tore up.
Oh yeah.
I mean,
I saw somebody brought to the local shop a 10 in a book from a couple of years ago, and it wasn't one of them Batwangs. And you could see the difference just by looking at it. Okay, I see what a 10 is now. I mean, it was. I guess he wanted $1,000 or $1,200 for a book. That's like whatever. It's a standard book. So I don't know.
Oh, this is not Golden Age, but I just got to show you guys. This is a really strange phenomenon here. I've never seen this. Maybe you guys have had. So Nothing book,
Louise Simonson right there.
it was just a book like I bought on the rack, whatever, back in the day. But check this out. So it's a kind of a double cover, but
Oh, you got the rip on the inside. Yeah.
it's
You got-
like
yeah.
folded and all crazy.
I've seen that in some books, but I don't know what they call that.
So here's
yeah, I've seen that too. There's a name for it.
it's the top of it.
I have a few double covers. One of the books on Comic Connect is a double cover. There's another book. I wanted to shout out a book on Comic Connect. One of the highest graded for you high grade collectors that are into the 9.6s. There is a Justice League #2 and a 9.6, and I'm guaranteed you'll never see it again because that is rare. It's rare to find it's a 9.6. I think that is the highest grade on the census. It's out there. I think it's up to like 16,000 right now, but it's
Right.
the rarest of the rare. You Justice League fans out there.
Yeah, that's a high grade for that book.
Comic
wonder,
books are $1 million to 4 O's for Golden Age these days. Man, you can't restrict yourself on that. It all depends on what you collect. You can get 8 O's of Jungle Books for about half the price, which you can get a 4 O in anything these two guys collect. And that's some Jack Kamen right there. This is a Baker
My
cover.
favorite grade for Golden Age is 4.0 and 4.5. I love getting 4.0s and 4.5s for GA books. I agree.
I got a Golden Age book.
Huh?
I got a new Golden Age book.
Oh, let's see.
Let's see it.
This was a book that I had a couple years ago, and when I spend a lot of money, I'm like, all right, I gotta refill the bank, so I sell a bunch, and I've always regretted it because it's one of the very early cool covers of this character. So fine, and I was looking for it for a while, and finally one that was cheap enough. I think they're the only that I've seen have come up again, but I bought it back. So it's nice to have this back in my collection.
Oh, Sheena. Nice. Jumbo #8. Is that 8?
Number 20, right?
20? 20? Okay.
20, yeah. But it's one of her first
Yep.
solo cover.
Yeah.
And she looks
She ended up
absolutely
getting her own. She got She got her own issue. She got her own issue right around that time too.
Look at that. That is crazy lady right there.
Yeah, good for you.
So back in the collection.
Now,
Happy about that.
Sheena is obviously she's known for Jumbo, all her Jumbo, but she did her own series.
Yeah, Sheena 1 is actually, isn't that a redo of this
Of
cover?
that, it's the same cover there, but she also shows up.
Not quite the same.
She also was the Jungle Girl. She's the inspiration for Tiger Girl in Fight comics. There's only in a few. Tiger Girl, when Fight went to Jungle for a little while, Jack came in again. Did a lot of the Sheena.
Who's the artist on that cover I got?
What that 20? It's got to be somebody from Iger Shop. I don't know. It could be
Probably like a Will Eisner or a Joe Solardo or something.
Yeah, Solardo could be. He did a lot of later ones. Solardo did a lot of Jungle. I don't know how this was Jumbo 20. Let me just look right here.
Or Zolnarowicz or something.
Jumbo 20. I love saying Jumbos.
Or
Covered by Solardo, yeah.
Solardo, yeah.
What's his one?
Good. Yeah. Solardo was always so detailed on the animal. You know. I did pick up a book this week. I'll share with everybody. It's not a Golden Age, but it's from the Golden Age from a certain point of view. It's a Treasury edition. It is The Wizard of Oz, covered by John Romita. It is the first ever DC and Marvel crossover book. First time they ever did anything together. This was it. The interior is done by the great Mr. John Buscema, and it's really cool because if you know the movie goes black and white, the comic does as well.
Which book? Oh, Wizard of Oz.
Yeah, so the beginning of the comic is all
Official.
It's all a very it's not black and white, but it's very blue and very faded tone. And then all of a sudden, when they're in Oz, it gets all colorful and Buscema goes nuts. But it's done really well. I mean, the splash page alone, title page alone, gives you an idea of the in-depth of the artwork on the inside by Buscema right there.
What year is that? Like 76 or something?
1975.
75?
Yep, and this is a beautiful. And I hunted at cons. I think almost everybody who's been with me at cons has known. I've always asked, do you have any Wizard of Oz Treasury editions? I'm looking for at least a near mint copy. And everyone's like, good luck. No. But I did find one. It did take me a couple of years. Mission accomplished. But I will now read this to my kids. I originally planned on getting this when I had one, but I will. Originally, when I got it, I realized it looks a lot better than it is, and they are destroying everything. So.
Well, I watch you and Silver Age Dave and get my sort of treasury fix vicariously through you guys, but they're way too big for me. I have 3 magazines, and then 2 3D books that are magazine size. So like 5 total magazine size. And I have trouble storing those even. So I'm not going up the treasuries. They're too big.
I'm going to show Alf again. Got to show Alf one more time.
That's a classic there.
It is. It's a nice copy.
I love the treasuries because it's the closest you had to getting the artwork to its original size.
Right, and I like that one. The Wizard of Oz one's good. I have the Thor one. I have the Doctor Strange one. Conan's a good one. Yep, I have the Doctor Strange. I think it's 11, 16. There's a bunch of. Then Then there was Marvel premieres started doing cool storylines in there.
Like the detail, you can't get that in the small.
Right. Yeah, that's the advantage you have of these big books. It's ridiculous, and so much they add on a page. And these are too big for slabbing, by the way.
Which I don't know why, because they slab.
They're working on it. From what I've heard, they're interested in doing it, but I can't slab this.
And it makes
anybody to touch it.
It makes you feel like a kid because back then, comics were bigger.
Yeah.
Yeah, your relative size is much smaller when you're reading one of those.
Yeah, it's like those reissued Star Wars toys.
Yeah.
Those. you feel like a kid again. It's pretty funny.
I mean, if anybody knows The Wizard of Oz or knows any scenes from there, the one when the lion shows up is just a classic here. The artwork on this is just, I mean, I paused reading it.
Pause. Pun intended.
Sorry.
Pun intended with the pause.
There you go.
Now, what part of The Dark Side of the Moon plays at that moment?
I don't know. Yeah, I don't know if I have to do that. I have to listen to Dark Side of the Moon as I read. You seem. It says produced. This is produced by Stan Lee and Carmine Infantino, gotten together for the first time ever with Roy Thomas, John Buscema, Tony DeZunga, The Tribe, John Romita, and John Verdeputin. And the colorist is Len Wein. It says Glenn, but it's Len. It's Len Wein.
How did we get onto the treasury?
Saladino. I'm sorry?
How did we get onto the treasuries?
I just showed it.
I'm just trying to. Oh, right. You got that recently?
Yeah, I got it this week. Took forever to find one.
You know,
A decent
one tip
with the
on
gloss.
treasuries.
And I've been really into this. I don't know if anybody's been reading in the latest comic weekly, whatever their blog. They talk about the shininess on comics and that it's so we take it for granted, but it's probably the hardest thing to keep nowadays. Is the shininess is just going away. Poly bags. They said that sometimes the bags have hurt the shininess of some of the books.
See?
DS might be on something about that Mylar.
I mean, I don't use Mylars and the polys I use because they're cheap and they're like way stations for the books between acquisition, pressing, cleaning, and slabbing. So, yeah, I'm not spending a bunch of money on Mylars that are going to shred my books as I take them in and out. And then,
Right.
I guarantee you, if you have your book in a slab and there's any kind of rubbing and shifting it does in that slab over time, that's going to remove some of the shine as well.
yeah, I mean, it's paper. Nothing's going to last forever.
Right. It was just, I think we were talking more how some of the key issues that I like and some of like the gloss is just fading on so many books. And
well, even look at like Eternals 1. I've had several copies of that recently, and that one loses its gloss pretty easily, and that's 76 book. And I noticed a lot of that, like the figure on the front, the gray or the black, the gloss is lost on a good portion of that on all of the Eternal Ones issues I've had, and they were high grade. The last one came back 9.2, and it had some gloss off of that. Also, X-Men 100, I think that's a 75 or 76 book. So you're seeing some gloss lost on some of those. So yeah, I mean, nothing's gonna last forever, but
right. Yep. And that's one of the advantages I said about coloring on the Fiction House books. And Knights, by the way, congratulations on that Jumbo 20.
Oh,
the coloring on it's great. I do love how Jumbo took risks. I mean, red and orange was the base colors for all the Jungle books, but I do like when you get a black cover or a blue cover, which is why I'm so drawn to like you showed that what was that? Your Jumbo had that blue background, then I showed the fight with the blue. You know, I just love the fact that it's a different kind of background or a green background. It's good stuff.
They took a lot of chances too with the female on the cover. I mean, this was pre Wonder Woman. You know, it's one of the first books where it's a girl who's like full. It's about her. You know, there aren't many.
TJ says if they ever grade Treasury, I'm all over it. I believe it. You know, Treasuries. It's funny how people in the we're talking
about treasuries. So if you're at a local con and you see a bunch of treasuries, make a really negotiate, because every seller I've talked to
hates them
down a ton because they hate shipping them.
They're the worst.
Extra, and it's a real pain, especially if it's high grade.
Yeah.
So you'll get
try to find them high grade. Yeah, the Empire Strikes Back is a really good one to get, by the way.
Hey, can you do the screen on me? Because I want to show you one thing about this. I gotta
head out soon. So
share the thing. Share screen. Here we go.
DS, do you have an auction coming up or anything?
No, I've got 6 packages at CGC right now. So probably after Christmas, I'll have all that stuff come
Nice.
back, and
Okay.
most all of it's for sale. So
All right, there you go, DS. I mean, Nates.
All right, so I want to show a little bit of what do they call it?
Cover
PJ,
quote.
political, whatever, when they
Cover
like political adjusting for, you know, like the lately in movies and all that, they change stuff because it's more politically correct or whatever. So here's
We call it
where they did that even back then in the old days. So here's Jumbo
right, 1940.
Yep, 1940.
Joe
And
Smith.
then they pretty much lifted that cover for their Sheena number 4. But let's see if I can get this bigger. Now, if you look at the bottom here, can you guys see that bottom?
oh, yeah, they changed it to apes.
Yeah. Oh, it's all apes now, setting fires and
it's like Planet of the Apes, yeah.
people instead of the white man fighting the black people and setting fire to the black people's.
Yeah.
Wow.
I'm not entirely. I should look up the date of this one, but it's. And I also think
Sheena's were old. They were in the 50s.
she looks a lot more crazy.
I have number 9 right here. So hang on.
Oh, yeah. This
Who the hell taped this?
her face too is much cooler in the old one, so she looks really nuts there. And in this one, still kind of crazy, I guess. But
so number 9, Fiction House was 1950. Phew, smells. So
Queen of the Jungle versus Jungle Queen.
yeah, well, she was Queen of the Jungle here. I mean, this is my copy here.
You could take it off of me.
Oh, yeah. Oof. Right.
Infinity.
This is my copy here of Sheena number 9. I love
that's a good one.
Yeah, I like this one, but I love why, and this is one of my favorites, why I like keeping this book, is this color on the interior is still freaking perfect.
Oh, yeah, that's great.
Yeah, this is one of my favorite purchases from that guy. Really nice presenting copy of a great Golden Age Sheena from 1950.
Now we're over on the I still have the last week of November issues.
Oh, we'll have to do that next week.
We're gonna have to have a special issue only show to catch
we'll
up.
have to do that next week. We have to get ready for the silly season anyway. We've got to do some Christmas. By the way, when Sheena did look really good was when she started wearing this stuff. Let's be honest. All right, everybody. Thank you all for coming. Again, this is just like Golden Girls, but without the sex appeal. Thanks again.
I love that mask. That is a great mask one. How much is that going for? Yes.
Well, it's not mine, but I don't want to comment on the price of that one, but
it's a nice book.
Not cheap.
Is it going to go auction, or is it going to just be out there at a best offer or something? Or
I think it might already be sold. It was consigned to me, and I think he worked out a deal. So I'm waiting to hear back from him if I just need to ship it somewhere, or if he wants, or if that doesn't work out, then I'll go try to sell it for him. But pending that deal, I'm not going to comment on the price. But you can buy a Mask 2 on Comic Connect. It's a 1.8, or on Comic Link, and it's already at 5,600. So Mask 1's better than a Mask 2.
Oh, and according to Overstreet, that chamber 19, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
A good is still only $300.
Yeah, right.
Yeah, gotta love
Good
Overstreet.
is probably 2,500 right now.
Yeah.
You know, he gets told all this stuff, and you'd think
Robert.
told like, actually you're like 10 times behind or what.
But it's not his fault. I
Like,
mean,
no, I'm not going to do that.
he
Yeah, but I mean,
published
how many
in
advisors?
June a year before.
advisors in
So what you're looking at is June of 18 prices.
Yeah, but still, not even. I mean, there was
June of 18 prices
For more
come
than
out
that.
in the middle of whenever a new Overstreet comes out, goes 16 months before that. That's when that would be closest to the comparison.
Yeah, but even
And
still,
that's the lifetime with these books.
I mean,
even that he was told. I'm sure he was told.
one doing like PCH and one doing like DC.
But you have the Golden Guys factor, you know.
I mean, the AF-15 prices are right, and 181 prices are right, but
Are they?
I think so. I mean, they're usually pretty close.
All right. What was that one that just sold?
The AF-15,
Yeah.
there was 7.0 for 90.
Well,
Before
the 2.0, didn't you say that? Wasn't there a 2.0?
2.0,
I think that 7.0 had a CVA, if that counts for anything.
the 2.0 was 11,250.
So here he has 2.0 at $8,650.
Yeah, so that's low, but I mean, it's not like 300 versus 2,500. You know.
It's a good point. One of the things you might want to see. Here's the thing with that Mask book or Mask 2. It's gonna go. It's gonna go higher.
Yeah.
It's gonna go higher. It's what it's gonna do. I mean,
Well, I mean, people, there's a craze for it right now, and it is a massive.
there's a FOMO about missing out of between the pre-code horror people. The fear of missing out was amazing with some of them.
There's tons,
Mask.
not tons. There's a lot of copies of Mask 1 and Mask 2 out there. It's not a rare book. There's probably the census will go up by 50% over the next 18 months, and there'll be even more on the census. But there's a lot of raw copies out there. There's a lot of slab copies. They just haven't come to market in the last several years because people liked them more than what they could get for them. But that's changing. Now people get a lot that I see. People that I know that have these are now offering up for sale because nobody, you know, when you get to this level, you're an investor too. So if you have a book that you paid $1,500 for and you can get 12 grand for it now,
Right, it's a no-brainer.
no matter what book, nobody's going to keep that
Please.
book.
I have already packaged my Avengers 43 with the Red Guardian when I saw David Harbour's character on the trailer. I need to get that out of here as soon as possible and get the $300 for that book. I'm going to get for a book I spent $10 on. Get it out of here. I can use the money.
Yeah, so I mean, there's plenty of Mask 1s and Mask 2s out there. There's been a ton of them on the market this year, and that will continue. As prices go up, the supply will flood the market, and yeah, it'll persist for a while, and then it'll be a few years downturn on that trend for a while. It's sort of like the Hulk 181 that skyrocketed, and it's just not sustainable in any market.
No,
And that has plateaued, and I sold
The more copies that exist, the faster.
year and a half ago, and it's still going for just under $5 grand at 8.5 now. It's stagnant and dropping a little.
Yeah, I mean, I had my run with my Hulk 181. I sold the trio 80, 81, 82 for a good price back a couple of years ago, 3 or 4 years ago. I just wasn't into Wolverine. It just never really was. So I treated it as an investment book, and I bought them for a couple of $100 and sold them all for, at a zero, That's what they were going for. Now they're going for more than that, but I have no regret of selling it at that time for what I paid for it. The only book I ever regretted ever selling, two. My FF112 with TJ Watson gifted me back one, which was perfect, and much better copy than I had, and it's on its way to CGC. Had it pressed and cleaned. And my FF1, which I still say sentimentally, I got rid of it for a car for my family, but at the time it was like, oh, just get rid of it. I'll get a new one.
Yeah.
But I never did.
Well, you still can, but I mean, I think to
I'm
time.
not going to pay what I'm never going to, for the fact that I paid $400 for my first copy, sold it for $5,000. I mean, I had that book forever. That was my big boy purchase. That predates my Journey 83.
Yeah, McNary Austin's asking, what do you guys think of the Black Cat Mystery number 50? That's another one. I mean, that's a top PCH Grail, but there's so many copies of that out there. There's probably 80 or 90 copies on the census, and it's easy book to find now. It wasn't a couple of years ago because the price was not as high.
I need a wanted 50. If anybody, I need a wanted 50. That's what I'm looking for. I have 50, I have 49, 53. I need a few more to complete the set, but there's only 3 of those on the census, and I'd rather have that. Again, value-wise, of course, I'd rather have the Black Cat 50, but I'm only spending a few $100 for these books, and I'd rather have them. That's
Yeah,
my-
some of this stuff are gonna tail off for the next few years. There's been a gigantic spike in a lot of these Golden Age categories. It's not sustainable.
Right, and the biggest thing I can recommend is something Knights talked about earlier, and DS talks about all the time, and we're going to reiterate here. The wound of the downturn in a market doesn't affect you if you collect what you love.
Yeah, that's true.
So think about it like that. If you're in this for the money, it's not what this is what it's ever been for. And people who think you can get rich on comics are all broke.
And I'd say if it's rare enough, you can be safe longer. Because more people can hold them and they won't. Because the problem is when
one of a kind is worth
have it and they're like, I just need to get money for this now.
Right.
And then it starts this spiral down. Whereas if there's only like 20 of them and they're all in the hands of super, like Nerdy Girl Comics or, all these like rich dealers, it's never going to be offered low. And if they see something low, they will buy it and just keep it because it protects their investment.
Yeah, exactly.
Yep.
Yeah, I've sort of changed over to collecting Golden Age that's on the more rare side, which is why part of the reason why I sold my Black Cat 50. It's not a rare book. And when you see so many copies of a book flooding into the market, like a Mask 1 or a Cat 50, that means that the current prices are too high, that people who are holding those books are saying, yeah, now's the time to sell. So you see this selling pressure. Now, yeah, there's a lot of people out there been looking, and they're going to scoop them up for a while, but it gets like variant fatigue after a while. You start to realize that Black Cat 50 is not a tough book to get, and people start being more patient, and people are used to seeing it on the market, and it becomes a book that's not like, oh my God, I need to jump on it. And then people pick their spots, people are patient, and then all these copies are out there competing to sell to get money, and the price will go down a little bit. I think that's what's going to happen in the next couple of years.
And I think
a rare book is good because it's always the demand is always going to be far greater than the supply.
Completely accurate.
Well, depends. If it's
it depends what it is, but
a key rare.
A rare key. Yeah.
It's got to be a key first.
Yeah, I like
nothing.
I collect. It has to be rare and it has to be very cool for Dark GA. That's what it is. Now, Black Cat is very cool, but it's not very rare, and I sold mine.
And it goes down to what Nick.
There's plenty of them out there.
ETA Nick says, I forget the saying, but he's like, strong hands will, if there's too many of the books in the weak hands, then the price drops.
Yeah.
Weak hands meaning people who like, are living beyond their means, or they had like, they bought it on credit cards or whatever, and they need to sell, and that's usually the more common stuff. But if it's strong hands, like a dealer, or like maybe there's only 10 and there's, then those, they have no reason to like be desperate and let the price like go with them.
All right, guys, I got to run. Something just came up. So
check out my mask. Did you know that I had a mask?
No. Oh, very cool.
Solid investment.
Very cool. All right, everybody. Thanks for coming, everybody.